Welcome to Underqualified and Over It. I'm your host, Alice, and joining me as always is Cindy.
Hello.
In this podcast, we are overopinionated and unfortunately allowed to talk. So sit back, lower your expectations, and let's get into this.
Well, that's a bit spicy. Let's get into this.
Oh yeah, let's go into it, isn't it? Oh well, we're changing it now.
Hey, listen, we are evolving as a people. It's fine.
We're evolving as a people on a podcast. Woohoo!
Oh my gosh, I swear. The people... So, okay. If you hear things in the background of my audio, it is literally my upstairs neighbors. I don't know why they chose right now, but they're like stomping all over their apartment, and it's pissing me off because it's like... This is rich coming from me, somebody who literally never leaves their house, but I'm like, leave your house, go to work, go do something. I could have a quiet apartment. Oh man, I'm so selfish.
Yeah, well, we're gonna have new neighbours soon because our neighbour's landlord has decided to. Well, first off, I think he decided that he was going to sell the house, and then he's decided to put the rent up. But without like telling them that he's putting the rent up and giving them the option to stay, he's just said no. I've given you your notice, and because obviously this new like renters' rights thing hasn't
that's what I
fully
was gonna
come
say.
in yet. He's still allowed to do that. So we're gonna have some new neighbours soon, which kind of concerns me because I didn't really mind it with them, but the way that our bathroom is set out, our window opens out rather. It's one of those big ones that arches out and up, rather than it be a full window and then a little window at the top. And that faces directly to their back door.
Delicioso.
So when the window's open, I can see their back door from my shower while I'm in it. And that just like gives me a slight concern of like, because I know my neighbors right now, like if they opened the door and they could hear the shower going, like I know for a fact that my neighbor would be like eyes down, straight forwards kind of thing. But I don't know what my new neighbors are going to be like, whether it's just like, oh look, there's a naked lady in the shower.
So I was on TikTok, because I'm a chronically online human, and there was a lady and she was talking about that exact same issue. So basically her upstairs shower in the master bedroom had like, it was next to like a full length window, but it was all fogged out and everything. And she was like, oh, okay, so it's probably not an issue. I just, like, it's probably like they can't see anything. They might be able to see a shape moving, but and then her neighbor's wife, like the wife next door, came over and was like, "Hey, just so you know, when we're in our backyard, we can see everything, like skin color, definition, like literally we can see everything, and we just thought you should know that when it's dark outside, we literally can see everything." And so this lady's like sitting in like her towel, like making this talk, and she's like, and so yeah, that's why I shower in the dark now.
I would, I'd do the same.
Yeah, it is. Ugh. Like I hate the idea of people being able to like look in and see into my windows. I'm fine with it. So like I grew up in the country, right? So like I'm used to my neighbors being miles away, Like when you're living in the UK, even in the countryside, things are more condensed. Like, unless you're like literally up in the middle of the Highlands in the middle of nowhere type thing.
It's basically because we don't really, in comparison to America, we don't have a lot of landmass.
Yeah, it's a space. Yeah,
it's a space thing. And before all of these like new build blooming housing estates started popping up, it was kind of one of those where it was like, well, we can't build anymore because we need that land for farming.
Yeah,
and now they've kind of eradicated
it's very interesting culturally, like the differences between the UK and the US. One of the things I was going to say when you're talking about your neighbor, because of the changes that are happening with the renters' rights and things like that, you're going to see a lot of that happening before it comes into action.
Yeah.
Like, there are things that I'm surprised up until 2026 are still legal as like what do you call it? Landlord-renter relationships. Like the fact that the landlord can literally just up the rent at any time. And they don't have to give you notice. The fact that they can refuse any animal, including service animals.
Yeah.
They, what was another one that just was jaw-dropping? They can literally end your lease and kick you out for no reason. Like, they could demand you pay a significant amount of the rent up front. Yeah. Like, there's just so many things. Those things have been illegal in the US for so long. Like, so long. It's crazy.
It really is. I'm glad that they're doing something about it now.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's a lot of people that cannot, like, you can't afford a house nowadays. Like,
yeah, no.
And it really irritates me because I've heard like my parents say it and other people say it. It's like, oh, and this is when I was working full time as well, and I was working my ass off and being like mentally damaged because of like how much I had to work. And trying to bring money in, and then it's like, oh well, it's not that hard. I'm like, yeah, but back in the day, back when you were like doing this and working full time and stuff like that and saving up for a house, it was cheaper for you to get a house. And it's like, I'm sorry, but that is right. And they're like, no, it's not. It wasn't cheaper to get a house. We had less money in wages. I'm like, yes, but your less money in wages went further because your milk was 50 pence rather than £1.50. Your butter was cheaper. Your food in like to go and get actual just food to feed your family. You could go and do your food shop with £100 and that would get you about 4-5 weeks worth of shopping, maybe even more than that. Now I go to the shop and £100. If I was to get the stuff that they were getting back then, £100 would not even cover what they were getting for food.
Yeah, well, I mean, like, and that's the cost of living goes up regardless, right? Whatever economy you're in. And like the price of milk is going to go up, the price of eggs are going to go up, the price, just like how the prices of houses are going up. But the difference is that the cost, like, that's just like what happens as societies grow. But what is happening now is the cost of living and the cost of like housing are growing at such different rates. So like the cost of living is still increasing as per normal. Like, I wouldn't say that like the groceries and the shopping here has increased exponentially. Like, it's probably comparable to what they were making back then, but the cost of housing has grown at an exponential rate. And so like it's so frustrating.
That's the thing, because I don't think it is, because the thing is, the cost of living, so like going out and getting your groceries and stuff, that has risen, but the like your wage packet, like minimum wage isn't living wage.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
We shouldn't have a minimum wage. We should have a minimum living wage, is what we should have. And that should be enough to cover the costs of your housing, to cover the costs of your food. Like, it's like if I was, like, even when I was working full time, if we had a car, we wouldn't be able to afford that car with the insurance and the petrol and all of that on top of it, and fixing the car and stuff like that. Honestly, I don't know how people do have their own cars. I don't understand how they manage to do it with rent and all of this. Like, my gas and electric bill's just gone up again. And I'm supposed to be on a fixed rate. So I'm going to be ringing them tomorrow and asking them what's going on. And I'm going to say I can't afford. I can't afford the amount of money that you're asking me to be paying. You're asking me to pay nearly £200 a month for gas and electricity. I understand that I'm in my house all of the time, and I understand that, yes, it has been cold. So, yes, I have had my heating on. But the thing is, I can't afford it. And on top of that 200, I'm also paying an extra £20 a month for their fuck up, because they didn't take enough money from me when I was in my old house, because of these like the guesstimates that they did on the flipping stuff that I used. And that's not my fault, that's their fault.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that you're willing to pay that when it was their mess up. Like, I would have fought to the tooth, being like, I'm not paying this because you messed up. You messed up, therefore you will pay for it.
They have taken some money off of that big amount, so luckily I'm only giving them another £20. But the thing is, on top of that, now I'm now paying extra, because last month my gas went up, so I'm paying £100 and something for my gas at the minute. And then now they're trying to get pump my electricity up as well. And I mean, I know that that's not my fault, really.
Yeah.
It's because of all of this stuff that's going on in the world that is affecting that. And I understand that. But the thing is, I can't afford that. And a lot of people will probably turn around and go, oh, well, go and get a job. I have already spoken about getting a job in a previous episode. It's so hard to get a job in this economy right now, because either people aren't wanting you, you're overqualified for the job, which I've been told recently. Oh no, we can't hire you, you're overqualified. But yeah, I've been told by several bar jobs that I'm overqualified for the job because I've got my personal license. Because all they want is somebody to just go in and do, like, little shifts. And that's all I need. But the thing is, they won't hire me because I've got my personal license now.
Well, because you having the qualifications means that they have to pay you more.
No, they don't.
No, they would have to. Like, see, that's the thing is, like, that's why people tend to be overqualified for jobs, is because the job wants to pay as little as possible because of their own you know, revenue issues. But it's and a lot of times if you have somebody coming in with all of these certifications and all of these things and whatnot, whatever, then eventually that person is either going to demand a raise, because you're probably going to be like, oh, you have all these qualifications, you can train such and such and such and such and such, and then you'll be put into like a trainer position, and then you would be like, this is not my job description. I would like to be paid more, because if you're going to have me do these additional responsibilities, I should be getting paid more, and they don't want to do that. They want somebody that, and it also is like when you have an extensive work history in a specific field, a lot of people will say you're overqualified because they don't want to hire you because you've learned all of your tricks of the trade under somebody else's tutorage. Which means you're not going to be like doing, maybe you know how to make like a drink a specific way, but you use like slightly different measurements, or it takes less time for you to make, but you wind up using more alcohol or whatever. Like, I don't know, because of the way you were trained. And it's like, well, we don't do it like that here. And it's like, all right, I don't really care that much.
Yeah.
But going back to what you were saying about the fixed rate for your electric, Kenny and I also were told that we were on a fixed rate, only to find out that we weren't. We were on what's called like a budget plan. And that sounds very similar to what you're dealing with. And so Kenny and I had to like call them, and he called them like 3 or 4 times to like figure out what was going on with it, because our electric bill was coming back either higher or whatever. So what he did is he called them and he upped because we were supposed to be on, I think it was like £40 a month, was like the guesstimate or whatever. And then we wound up using more and more and more. And they were like, well, that was just a guesstimate. This is what you're actually using. So we're going to have to charge you for this. And it's like, so Kenny upped it to £90. So it basically, like, if we pay £90, but we only use 70, like that extra 20 will go into a credit that we can then put toward, like, because that's what happens here is like, your electricity bills tend to go down significantly during the warmer months, but then skyrocket during the winter months because you have all of your heating on and everything. And for houses that have air conditioning and like AC in that, those houses still have like skyrocketing like electric bills because you're running something. Even me, like just sitting here running a fan when it's hot out, like is going to up our electricity bill. So yeah, it's a crazy world that we live in. It is possible I think that a lot of people think that they can't buy houses because they don't know how the process works. Which I can understand to a certain extent. The only reason that Kenny and I were able to buy a house is because I know a little bit more because I worked in real estate before when I was living in the US. So I know how the process somewhat worked. And like we bought a flat, we bought an apartment. It's not like we went out and bought like a house with a garden and, you know, like a semi-detached with a driveway.
Yeah.
Like we don't have that necessarily, but I mean, it is possible to buy a house. It's just getting approved for the loans.
Yeah.
Which, like, unless you have money saved up, like, you're not going to be able to buy a house. And you do have to save a significant amount for the down deposit, or the down payment deposit. So like I will say that a lot of people probably have a hard time saving up for that with the difficulty finding jobs. So like I can understand why it's much harder to buy a house here than it is in the US.
Yeah.
But it's also, like we were saying before, it's because there's no land mass here. Like in America, the house the flat that we're living in right now, in America, it would be a standalone home. We'd have probably a back garden, probably would be a bit bigger, like full kitchen. Like it would be much larger. Like here you're paying so much for such little space because there is no space.
Yeah.
And it's just very, very interesting to me. Like to find a standalone home here in the UK, be prepared to pay $500,000.
Oh yeah.
Because you are not able, like minimum, and that's a small house still. Like if you're wanting like an American sized standalone home, you're probably paying upwards of $1 million, like USD, like it's probably £700,000 minimum for like a decent size, like what I would consider a decent sized house. Where I'm from in America, that's the norm, is a standalone home. Like the semi-detached and the like duplexes are normally what people would consider home here. You're always sharing a wall with someone. And it drives me nuts. I can't stand it. But it makes sense because as a culture, like you guys, one, have been around a lot longer than the US has. So you've had people settled here for a lot longer. And it's kind of like Rome, where like, you know, just building on top of each other and building on top of each other and building on top of each other. So you guys were just building up and up and up and up and up because there's nowhere for you to go out. It's an island.
Yeah.
But in the US, it's like, we got nothing but space. Like, there's like, especially where I'm from, Oklahoma, Kansas, Nebraska, there's nothing there. So you can buy a very decent sized home for under $250,000. Like, it's like mad. Like, now you go to the East Coast, you're kind of running into the same issue because it's longer, been longer settled, it's more densely populated. Like, there's only so much shoreline. Like, so it does get more expensive the further to the coast you get. But girl, you want a nice house and you don't want to have to worry about cost of living, go move to Oklahoma. Ain't nothing to see, but hey, at least you have a nice house.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, you can see where, like, when I said, if I won the lottery, this is the exact amount of money that I would personally need, right? To do all of the things that I want to do. Because obviously, like, it's different for me because I've got a business that I want to start up. And ideally, if I won, say, for instance, 8 million on the lottery, 3 million of that would go straight into my company. And I can run my company for 12 years then. Straight off. Not a problem. I can pay everybody, including myself, out of that money. And that's me not worrying about money then, really.
Yeah.
And then what I'd want to do is with the rest of it, so that's 3 off, I've got 5 mil left. 1 mil is buying a nice house for us to have a forever home. And like, with enough space for us to have kids, and fully furnishing that and decorating it how we want it to be. So obviously we'd still keep renting here until the new house is, number one, finished buying, and I'd buy it outright so I didn't have any mortgage. Number two, it's finished being decorated. Say, for instance, that I wanted a jacuzzi bath in it. It didn't have a jacuzzi bath. We're ripping out the bathroom. We're putting in a new bathroom, blah, 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 all of that sort of stuff. We'd obviously need somewhere to stay while that's all going off. So obviously I'd continue renting here until that's all ready for us to move in. And then obviously I'd buy, like, new TV, like, get him a new computer, get both of us maybe a VR rig and some other stuff that we want and all of that sort of stuff. Like, properly deck out our house the way that we want it with the tech that we want and stuff. So maybe even just putting 2 mil on that.
I don't think you would need 2 million.
No, but then also what I want to do is I'd want to buy my mum's house off of my auntie outright and not charge them any rent so that they don't have to worry about things as well. And then I'd put at least 1 million into, or 2 million into, a savings account for when we do have children and all of that. And then at least 1 million, I am taking a complete year and I'm going to go do the things that I want to do. I'm going to go travel to the places that I want to go to. We're going to Korea. Me and Amy are going to every single Disney that is in existence at the moment. I'm going to Japan for a month with him. I'm doing all of the things that I want to do with that, like, with a million, and just not having to worry about things.
You would have to be careful with how much you put into the company at one time. Because if you put into, like, depending on how you structure the company, if you put all 3 million into it, that's going to look like revenue. And the government, if you reach a certain threshold, I want to say it's like if you make more than like £50,000 or something, they have the ability to take like up to like 50% or something.
Okay, so maybe,
so like you could lose $1.5 million. So you could still do it, but you would want to do it in like small chunks by a year basis.
Oh, okay, fair enough. So what I'd do then is I'd put the other 2 mil in a different savings account then.
Potentially, yeah. So you would want to structure it in a way where you're putting as much distance between you and the money as possible, so that you're creating like a safety net for your own liability. Because you don't want it to be a case of like you put all this money into the company only to find out a couple years later you get audited by the government, and then they're like, well, you owed us this much and you didn't pay us this, so we're going to then take it, and then now you don't have it.
Yeah.
Right. So then they come after you and your own personal assets, which then means like they're able to take your house. They're able to take your auntie's house. They're able to like repossess all of the things that you've done.
Yeah.
That's why like it's important to do your taxes, even here in the UK, where people are under the impression you don't have to do your taxes because the government does them for you. I get that it is good in theory, but your responsibility as a citizen here in the UK is to still go through and make sure all of your taxes are correct. That is like, so it's basically like in the US, the way that it works is you have to go through and do all of your own filing and the government already knows what you're supposed to owe them, but it's to basically like checks and balance yourself, to make sure that you understand how much needs to be paid where, right? Then you pay the government the taxes that they're owed, and then they check that against their database and they're like, yeah, that's correct, good to go, and then moving on. Here in the UK, the way that it works is you don't, like, at the end of the year, the government takes that document that they have, because they know how much you owe them, and they do all of like the filing for you and everything, and then they send you the receipt, and it's your job. You have 1 calendar year to go through and double check to make sure the government didn't take too much, right? So, but you don't have to do that, right? And so a lot of people don't.
Yeah, so actually, so if you are working like a normal job where they pay your wages and they do your tax and national insurance, that's their business's job. So that's eventually that's going to be my job, but I'm going to pay somebody to do that for me, because that's why you have an accountant.
Yeah,
the whole reason, right? So and that is their job to do that, and that's what I'm going to do anyway. But back when I first came back from university, I worked for a pub that was really, to be quite honest, I don't know how they didn't get audited for it, because they were paying every single member of staff £7 an hour. Oof. And didn't matter how old they were, and that was beneath minimum wage.
Yeah,
I think at that point minimum wage was about £9-10 for my age and above. And what happened was, as somebody who's quite well into, oh, hang on a second, that doesn't seem right, I brought it up to my boss and I said, listen, you're not paying us enough money. Are you paying our like tax and national insurance and stuff? She was like really kind of like combative with it and all of that, because the thing is, what we did was we took that money out of the till every day. Like at the end of our shift, we'd take that however much, like we'd calculate how many hours we'd done and times that by 7, and then take that out of the till, and then leave a receipt in the till for being paid, and then the accountant would do everything else. But I'm like, surely that's not right. Number one, you're supposed to be paying us minimum wage legally, and you're not. And even like with the tax and national insurance being taken off, it wasn't £7.
Yeah.
Right? So then what I did to save my ass was I signed up for being self-employed as a contractor to the pub, rather than being a staff member. So what I did was every single day I'd take that receipt, I'd put it in a file, and then what I did at the end of the year when it was time to do the taxes is I told the tax man exactly how much I made on every single day that I worked, and I wrote that out onto the tax form. Luckily, because of being paid under minimum wage, I wasn't owing any tax. But that's what I think was happening there, is she was like trying to diddle the tax man by paying us less than we should do.
Well, and see, that's the thing. And this is why America makes each person do their own taxes, right? Because the liability, it might be the company's job to do that, to file the taxes. And the thing is I don't really trust other people for a reason. If the government does find issue with it, the company might be liable, yes, but you also personally are going to be held liable. So if you are trusting that your company is filing it correctly, and you're just like, yeah, I know that the company's filing it correctly, I know that the government has the correct documents, I'm not going to worry about checking this, then you could be putting yourself in harm's way by your own ignorance, because you don't know how much is supposed to be going where. And that's the thing, is basically what America does is forces people to be educated on their own taxes, or have their taxes filed through somebody who is educated, right? That's what I would do.
It's probably different for you because you were schooled in the way that you were schooled. I'll probably have to ask this for somebody else, or maybe somebody can answer in the comments that's American. But are you guys taught, you probably were, but are you guys taught in school how to do your taxes?
No. So that's one of the big gripes that people have with a lot of the education in America.
Same over here.
Is there's like, they used to do, like, I had a home economics course is what it was called. And that was where we learned how to write out checks and how to balance a checkbook and things like that. They don't even do that anymore because it was too gendered, which I think is ridiculous, because it's still things that you need to know how to do. It's like how to do your laundry and how to, like, you know, how to live your life, right? How to do, like, projects. Like, I learned how to sew and, like, you know, things like that. And when I was in the military, actually, because I was the only person who had gone through a home economics course, every time somebody had a button pop off their uniform, they always brought it to me to sew it back on, because they were like, I don't know how to sew. And I was like, that's just painful to hear. But like, I was always the one that was like sewing things for people, because I was the only person who was taught it. But we were never taught how to do our taxes, because that is kind of one, like, the rich get rich and stay rich by keeping people dumb.
Yeah.
Like, that's just like, that's how it works, right? And the only way that you can overcome that is by educating yourself and not relying on other people to educate you. So learning, and when you're working as like a real estate agent or a realtor, for example, you are a contractor, which is a completely different tax, not tax bracket, but tax filing system. So when you're working for somebody else, you file something called a W-2. And that's kind of the same as here. The company is responsible for filling it out and putting all the documents in and blah, 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 whatever. And then it's your job to take that W-2 and file it with the government yourself.
Yeah.
So basically that step that you were explaining earlier is what the American system has most people do. But if you're a contractor, you work on an I-9, which is you save your receipts and you calculate all your costs. So like, basically, if you sell a house, right, and you take a 3% commission, you take that check and you deposit it into your bank, but you have to take out your own taxes, and that's what you use to file. So you need to know how much state and federal tax need to come out of each commission. Mm-hmm. Then you put it into, like, you take that money, you put it into a separate savings account, which is literally your tax payment account. And then at the end of the year, you pay your taxes with that account,
right, based
off of your earnings. But anything, like, you take a client out for lunch, or you have, like, there are certain things that can fall under, like, your printer breaks down, mm-hmm, and you have to buy a new printer to print off contracts, because that's what you're primarily using your printer for. And you take all of those receipts, and those will be your returns at the end of the year. So the way that the America does their, like, taxes and stuff is, it's a very it's honestly, it's a very straightforward system. It's just a lot of people don't know where to start or how it works, right? And they are the fear mongering around not paying your taxes or tax evasion and things like that is like, if you don't pay your taxes right, you're going to go to prison. In my experience, the US government's actually pretty forgiving when it comes to like if you fuck up your taxes, because I had like 3 years of like taxes like that were not filed, and I was like, oh, I was told that I didn't need to file them, and they were like, it's fine, we have like $80 here that we need to pay for your back taxes, and then we'll do this and this, because I went and talked to a professional and they were like, yeah, I don't know who told you that, but they lied to you. And I never once had to deal with being audited. I never once had to have those issues. Is only if you're making a significant amount, which the majority of the American population is not, right? So you're not taught it explicitly, but it's not hard to learn. But the people who are basically getting rich off of other people's hard work rely on the fact that they are uneducated in that area. And so the only way that the education system is going to be changed, right, is if there's a significant amount of funding that goes into having it become part of the general curriculum. Mm-hmm. Anybody who could provide that funding is not going to, because knowledge is power. And if you know how to do things, right, but you are making money off people who don't know how to do things, then of course you're not going to fund for them to learn how to do things.
Right, good point.
So, I mean, that's just like, it's supply and demand. It's capitalism.
It's capitalism. I friggin' hate capitalism.
It is what it is. But at the same time, it's like, it is not hard to learn how to do. And I personally prefer the US tax system because you know exactly where your money is going, as opposed to here where everything is done for you. And there are so many people who think you don't have to do your taxes. The government does it for you. It's like, you really trust the government in this day and age, in the year of our Lord, 2026, you trust the government to do your taxes and handle your money for you? I don't think so. I think that you're ridiculous and you need to know where your money is going.
Yeah. It's one of them. And
anyway, Jesus Christ. I looked at my recording time. I was like, oh my God, we've been on this for a minute.
We kind of didn't even start on the subject that I wanted to start on, and we don't even have enough time to start on the subject that I wanted to start on. I mean, it's one of them. That's another thing as well. This can be one of our over it situations. We're over everything that's going on in this country right now. We're
over taxes.
We're over taxes. We're over price hikes. We're over cost of living not matching cost of everything else. But yeah, it's just one of them where, and all of the stuff that's coming out at the minute as well, because we've got elections coming up soon.
Yeah.
And it's like, what is it, a by-election or something like that down here? I don't know what's going off in Scotland, but it's one of them where everybody in every party is coming out and basically all they say is crap. It's crap.
Literally. It's career politicians.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, for instance, because unfortunately it pops up on my Facebook all of the time, which I friggin' hate. But what's his name?
I think I know who you're talking about. Don't give him the free publicity.
Anyway, the guy that I don't particularly like anyway, and he's been in Parliament for a very long time, and
shocking.
Like he's been saying stuff like for ages and saying, oh no, diversity is really good in our country, this, that and the other, there's nothing wrong with diversity. And then he's just literally in this last week he has then turned around and gone, oh actually if we come to be the leaders of the country, we're going to be going and having a look at everybody that's claimed asylum in this country and all of that. We're going to be looking into that. We're going to be looking into people who have come over to be married to somebody that lives in this country, and we're going to really crack down on all of that. I'm like, mate, you have been saying the opposite of that for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
It's only just because Restore have come out and said, oh, yeah, by the way, we're going to get rid of all of the illegal immigrants. And that's the thing. With me, I have not got a problem with immigration as long as you are doing it the way that you are supposed to do it.
Yeah.
You're supposed to file paperwork to come into this country. And even asylum seekers, you're supposed to file a file that says, I am trying to seek asylum in this country. It's people who are coming over that are ignoring that, and then they're getting help.
Yeah,
that's what I have a problem with. Some person's probably going to come out and say, "Oh, you're racist." You are. I'm not. Everybody has a right to come into this country as long as you do it in the way that it is legally to do so. I've not got a problem with people coming over to this country. If I had the option and I was going to move out to another country, say I was going to go to America or I was going to go to France or anything like that. Well, number one, America's all right because I already speak the language. But France, if I was going to be planning to go to France, I would be on Duolingo learning French so that I could communicate and be able to, what's it called? To merge myself into their...
Assimilate.
Yeah, so I could assimilate. I wanted a lesser word than assimilate, but anyway. So I could assimilate into their culture. I'd do the same if I was going to Poland or Germany or wherever. Do you know what I mean? I'd learn how to but there's people that are coming into this country that aren't even learning the language. How are you supposed to find a job and all of that if you can't do something as simple as talk to somebody?
Yeah. It is very interesting because there is a English requirement for citizenship here. Like, I don't have to take it because I'm from America, but at the end of my, like, when I apply for indefinite leave to remain, I normally, there's a life in the UK test that you have to take, which is like about the history of the UK and culture things. And, but there's also for certain countries, there's an intensive English course, right? Which is, as somebody who studies languages, English is a very, very difficult language.
Oh yeah, because
it is on par, like it is on par with Mandarin.
Yeah, because it's an amalgamation of 3 different languages.
Yeah, and it's especially if you are somebody who is from a country that does not have like any of the Romance languages, right? Yeah. Like Latin, like any Latin
or French
based language, Latin, yeah. So like French, Italian, Spanish, those are all languages that it is fairly easy for you to learn English because one, it uses a lot of the same characters, and the most difficult thing is like there's like toilet, for example, is a French word.
Yeah.
Toilet. So like there are certain words that are like in the English language are lender words from those languages. But if you are somebody who's from like China or India or, you know, somewhere where the script is different, the structure, like even in Korean, the language structure is a lot more simplified. There's a lot of more like context and assumptions and things. And it's like, it is not English from, especially like, because I'm studying Korean, like, especially from like East Asia learning English. It is a very, 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 very difficult language to learn. However, I agree that like, when you come into a new country, you're there to assimilate, right? But I think that a lot of people are, a lot of what's happening in a lot of different places, not even just the UK, is people are coming to new countries and trying to change everything about that country to be more like their home country.
Yeah.
It's like, then why did you leave? like I'm not saying like you have to go back, but it's like if you were coming to this country to escape, or you're trying to like be in a different culture, then why are you trying to change the culture to what you just came from? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
It's like one of the biggest things at the moment in this country is halal meat. And yes, I understand it. So yes, it's not just Muslim people that have halal meat. Also, Jewish people tend to have halal meat as well, because it's more kosher for them. And so it's one of those where, yes, we should offer that because of we want the diversity. Yes, we need to offer that, but we also need to offer it so that it's like slapped on the, like, put it on the packaging of the meat, so the people that don't need the halal meat don't have it. It's like, I'm sorry, but there's a whole ass aisle.
Restaurant chain?
No, there's a whole aisle for stuff for people that have gluten intolerances.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole aisle for people who need kosher things a lot of the time. I know that, like, I know it might be small areas because there's not much in this country that we have. But we do have those things in aisles. So why can't we just make a new meat aisle that is primarily halal meat, and keep the halal meat away from the regular meat? Because you can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Because the halal meat is going to be on a completely different delivery, and make sure that delivery day is on a different day to the regular meat, and keep them away from each other.
Are you saying that there's a big push for all meat to be halal?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. See, that I didn't know.
See, but it's the fact of a lot of people are angry because they're not getting the choice of it. And a lot of us, like, so there are a decent amount of people in this country, me included. So, say for instance, I'm not a vegetarian or a vegan, but I do respect the way that my food is created. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to know. I like to know that my meat has been taken care of in the best way possible that it can do, in the most humane way possible. I think the way of killing halal slaughter is terrible, because and people are turning around and going, oh, but they do stun them before they do all of that. Not enough. There has been.
I don't know anything about.
So like, I've not got the exact like measurements at the minute, but we stun before we kill, and our stun rate, our stun voltage is so much more than the halal stun is, and I just don't think it's enough because of the way that process is. And I personally, because I've looked it up in the way it is. If you showed somebody who, so say for instance that we went full halal in this country and people didn't understand what halal was, and then you showed them a video of how halal slaughter was, it's akin to showing somebody who was just became vegan because they watched a factory farm chicken process.
Yeah.
It's basically the same. And if we are to be halal in this country, I probably, although I love meat, I'll go vegan, because I do not agree with the way that process happens.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't know anything about halal. I mean, I grew up in the country. I grew up in the middle of nowhere. I'm used to like killing our own chickens and like, you know, have just like farm shit. Like I'm used to it. But what I mean as far as like culture and like changing things is like when you're coming from a country that has, especially as a woman, right, has a lot less regard for human rights, right? that's what I take issue with, is like, if you're coming into a country where women have established rights and then you're trying to change it to strip those rights away. That's what I take issue with. And like, it's all good and fine if that's part of your culture and that's something that you want to do within your family unit, go for it. As long as you're not hurting yourself and others, I don't really care if that's like the lifestyle that you choose, whether it be for cultural or religious reasons. I don't really care. But what you're not going to do is you're not going to beat somebody who's weaker than you. There's no like genital disfigurement. There's no like, and that's a whole other ball of wax just in and of itself.
Yeah.
But what we're not going to do is make those things that are abusive into things that, like, you're not going to gaslight me into making me think that they're okay.
Yeah.
Right. It is, if you are coming from a culture that basically half of your culture has less rights, and then you're coming into a country where they have full rights, and then you're trying to say, no, I don't like this, they shouldn't have these rights, that doesn't fly. Like, give to Caesar what is Caesar's. Like, fucking, like, if you're coming to a country where, like, it's not like you didn't know when you moved here. It's like getting, like, with a toxic ex, like, trying to change, like, I could change them. Like, no, the fuck you can't. Get the fuck out of here. Take your shit and leave. Because I'm not doing that shit. Women have worked for so hard to get the rights that they have now, to then have somebody come through and try and backpedal it. And it's like, we still are, I mean, God, just looking at, like, what happened to, give me a second. I want to look up her name.
Okay, well, I'll transition here. Because my thing as well is another thing that they've been talking about as well, the higher-ups of the company that is this country. They've been talking about, like, getting rid of the human rights stuff and changing it. And I have, as a woman living in this country, I have big fears about that, because it's if you think about it, it hasn't been long that women in this country have had rights.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, I think it was, what, 1920s?
Yeah.
When women got the right to vote?
It's only been, like,
literally
100 years.
It's just barely been 100 years. Like, it's ridiculous. And then to, like, turn around and be like, oh, you know, women get just as much opportunity and stuff. It's like, when you look at cases, like, I mean, of, like, not even just women, but, like, women and children specifically. I mean, look at the Epstein files. Look at the article that CNN just put out about the sexual assault academy.
Yeah.
Like, where there was, I think it was like 62 or 63 million hits on this website of people, like, teaching each other how to sexually assault their partners and, like, how to drug them and stuff. And it's like, and then you have, even, like, looking at, her name is Giselle Pellicot. She's a French woman who, for decades, her husband was drugging her and inviting people over to come over and sexually assault her.
That's disgusting.
And she waived her right to anonymity. And that's, like, her waiving her right emboldened a lot of women to come out and talk about their own experiences with something similar. And it's like, you're going to sit here and you're going to tell me that women have equal rights. We have probably more equal opportunity than we've ever had in our lives, but that doesn't mean that we're treated properly. We're still treated like lambs to the slaughter a lot of the time. We are like the sacrificial lambs to the, like, I was telling my husband the other day, I was like, I fucking hate men. I hate men so much. This is why I've started working out a lot more lately, is because figuring out about all of this shit has made me angry. And I would love to be able to just rip a man in half if he ever so much as cat calls me. I'm so angry. And I was telling my husband, it's like, it's gotten to the point, it's like, obviously, when I'm talking about men, I'm not talking about men who would actually stand up and do something. But if you are the type of man who is seeing something like this happening, who is and not saying anything, you're just as bad as somebody who is doing it.
Yeah.
Because if you know your buddy is like sexually assaulting people and you're not saying anything, you're just as bad because you're complicit in his fucking bullshit.
Definitely.
You need to be going to the cops. You need to. Oh my God. I'm going to stop talking because I'm so mad right now. I feel like I need to go for a run.
Yeah. And it's like, they always come out with, oh, it's not all men. Yeah. Great. And the thing is as well is, you, like you've just said, that lady waiving her anonymity. But the thing is, you've also, unfortunately, there are some really bad women out there as well. Because there are some women that will boy who cried wolf on being attacked.
Oh, yeah.
And
I think that they should receive the sentence that they were accusing the other person for.
Yes.
So like the max sentence, like if I go and I say this person sexually assaulted me, the max amount that person potentially could have gotten when they are proven innocent, the government opens a case against you for false reporting, and you like basically like you can have a trial, but if this trial finds you guilty, you are getting the max sentence, and you go into this knowing that.
Yeah. And another thing is, and this is me as a woman standing up for men here as well. So I was brought to the attention. Yeah, but like I said, men.
Sorry.
But I was brought to the attention of how women who attack underage people, the script is rewritten for them. So if it was a man who attacked a girl, it'd be he did this to her, but. And it's he sexually attacked this girl. But with women, it's, oh, they had a sexual relationship with their student. No.
Yeah.
No, they did not.
It's still sexual assault.
It's still assault. Call it what it is. Call it what it is. Because otherwise we're desensitizing people. And that's the problem. Stop desensitizing people. And like we said in a past episode, how what we were over was the whole calling it grape. No, call it what it is. Call a penis, call a vagina a vagina. Call it what it is, because otherwise we'll let things go, like, slip under the cracks. And it's not appropriate.
That's one of the things I can't stand, right? And I understand why people use avoidant language, like corn and grape and, you know, whatever fucking else they use.
Fluicide.
I have written down. Oh, yeah. Unalive. I was like, bro, like, I get why they're doing it because of honestly, the sophistication of algorithms nowadays. Like, kudos to the people writing, like, doing the coding for the algorithms. But the fact that people would be demonetized for calling things what it is because somebody might get triggered. Yeah. It is, if something triggers you, right, that is okay.
Yeah.
Like, it is like it is not me saying that you shouldn't feel that way, because being triggered is a natural reaction, right? But if you constantly are going through life trying to avoid that reaction, you're never learning how to deal with your own response.
Yeah.
Right? And because do I want to say that? Anyway, I'll say it. It's like, do I want to say this on the podcast? That's fine. When I was younger, I was sexually assaulted. Right? And for the longest time, anything that had to do with sexual assault, whether it's a case I was reading about or even just the word rape, I would get triggered.
Yeah.
And so I avoided those things. Any media that had any sort of sexual assault, anything, I avoided it because it was triggering to me.
Yeah.
And what I noticed through doing that and avoiding those things is that when some like a subject would come up that was unavoidable, or I was in a movie theater watching a movie and something like that would come up, my reaction was getting amplified the more avoidant that I was being, because I was having no exposure to it.
Yeah.
Right. And there is a certain amount of exposure therapy that comes with not being avoidant. And it might take people, like everything, like how grief is different for people, how people learn how to deal with that kind of thing and go through their lives. Like everybody does it at a different timeline. But if you're just trying to avoid it, you cannot avoid life, right? And unfortunately, sexual assault is something that exists in this world, and it is literally, if you are constantly avoiding it, you are never guarding yourself against it.
Yeah.
You're never learning how to guard yourself against it. And so it is important that people stop, again, for the way that you're saying, because people are like desensitizing themselves and things like that. It is so important for people to learn how to respond and react in situations. Like, it's like how women, like if you look at like an eye tracker and a woman, like they did like this, I forget, it was like a video that somebody did where it's just a camera walking down a dark country road. It's just a dirt road, and it's just there's nothing out there, and it's just somebody just walking down this road. If you put an eye tracker on a woman, she's looking at the bushes, she's looking at the sky, she's looking at everything around, and she's glancing at the road to see where she's going, but then she's like looking all around these different areas. Put it on a man, he's like looking straight down the road, and sometimes he'll glance off to the side. But for the most part, he's just like kind of chilling.
Yeah.
Like, if you constantly are living in fear, you are never going to know what to do in an emergency situation. Because when your reaction overtakes your response, that's when things get dangerous. Yeah. When you hear about people who have been, like there was a girl who she was kidnapped and held captive for several days. Obviously, she has adrenaline pumping and she has like all of these things happening. But she was like, I have to put that on the back burner and I need to focus on my response. And one of the things that she did, she was cleaning like the kitchen area or whatever, because that was one of the tasks they had her do. She was like memorizing, like, because they had cards from their like doctor and their dentist, like business cards. She was memorizing their names. She was memorizing details. She was memorizing the phone numbers. She was taking in as much as she possibly could, because she knew that she didn't have the opportunity to escape. So while she dealt with all of the things that were happening to her, she compartmentalized that away. And when she did eventually escape, they were able to track this person down based off of the information she was able to provide them.
Yeah.
And people were questioning her.
Yeah.
Being like, did this even actually happen to you? Because how were you able? Because I think she was relatively young. And people were like, not believing her because she had so much detail.
Yeah.
But then when it came out that that's actually what happened, people were like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that she did that. She only was able to do that because she trained herself to be able to do that in some way or another, whether she knew she was doing it or not. But if you're constantly using avoidant language and you're avoiding the actual issue, you're in that situation, like the fight, flight, or freeze. Like, you're not going to be able to do anything because, oh man, anyways, it's I know a baffling world.
It's like that. I know that there's some people, and I know there's some people in this country that have done it, and there's some people in America that have done it, and they are mostly women. They've got a folder together where they've taken, like from the root of their hair, a bit of hair. Mm-hmm. They've taken a swab of their saliva. They've taken all of these different things, like they've taken a skin sample and stuff and put it into this folder. They've also put who their like most likely people are to like do anything to them, like what their relationships are to them, who to get in contact with if they ever go missing, or and stuff like that, so that people when they find like that, God forbid somebody they do go missing and then they find a body or whatever, they can be identified straight away by the things in this folder, and then they've got even more information because of all of the information that's in there.
Yeah.
And men don't think about doing that. Men are just like, oh no, I don't need to do that. But think about it. If women are preparing a preparation folder for if and
literally
when
a death prenup
they go missing, there's something fucking wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is kind of like going back to what sparked this whole thing is with this world that we live in being the way that it is. And women are, because a lot of, so I think from that Sexual Assault Academy website thing that CNN did, a lot of the people from there were from Europe. They were from the UK and the US, and I think there was a few in like continental Europe. You're going to come over here from wherever, whatever culture you're in, and you're going to try and strip away rights from women who are already dealing with this bullshit.
Yeah.
No, that's not going to happen. And that's what I can't stand. It's like, I'm fine with people immigrating as long as they're all, I'm fine with immigration and assimilation. What I'm not okay with is people coming in trying to take away rights that women have fought so hard for, and women are still dealing with the bullshit of men.
Yeah.
And so you're going to come in here and you're going to try and change this and make it even worse for women.
Yeah.
No. Honestly. Anyway.
And on that sour note, sour and somber note, we are going to be finishing up there. So this has been Underqualified and Over It.
If you made it this far, I'm sorry.
And we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye. That was rough.